Attention passionate Detroit, Lions fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Detroit Lions' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Detroit Lions fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Detroit Lions fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you're a Lions supporter, you're probably feeling that rush of excitement right now because Detroit is not just sitting back and hoping for the best. No, sir. They are actively shaping their roster, making strategic moves, and keeping an eye on the future, all with one goal in mind: returning to the playoffs and making a real run at the Super Bowl. And this offseason has been fascinating because, despite some significant coaching staff changes, the Lions have managed to keep their core intact, which is an impressive feat when you consider how many teams are experiencing upheaval. In fact, the Lions have been quite deliberate about maintaining the stability of their roster, avoiding major losses that could derail their momentum. They haven't just been sitting on their hands either. They've been making key signings, extending contracts with their own young stars, and looking ahead to fill some of the gaps that could potentially hold them back. For example, they re-signed safety Kirby Joseph and linebacker Derek Barnes to long-term deals, signaling that they believe in these players' potential to be cornerstones of their defense for years to come. These contracts are smart moves because they lock in talented young players who are still ascending, and they provide a sense of continuity that's crucial for team chemistry and success. But the offseason isn't just about re-signings. The Lions also added some experienced veterans to bolster their roster. Among them, cornerback DJ Reed comes in with a reputation for being a shutdown corner, and his addition is expected to bring stability to Detroit's secondary. They also drafted the first-round rookie defensive tackle Tyleik Williams, a player with a lot of upside, who could become a disruptive force in the middle of their defensive line. These moves show that Detroit is serious about addressing their needs up front and in the secondary, areas that can make or break a team when the season gets intense. Yet, even with these solid moves, there are still some questions lingering, especially when you compare them to the rest of the NFC North, which has been active and aggressive this offseason. The Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers, and Chicago Bears have all made moves to improve their rosters, and Detroit needs to stay ahead of the curve if they want to keep their division crown. And that's where the potential trade targets come in, especially those that could give the Lions a boost in critical areas like pass rush and interior line depth. Now, speaking specifically about the pass rush, which has been a strong suit for Detroit, especially with Aiden Hutchinson emerging as a superstar, the team is still looking for that complementary edge rusher to take them to the next level. They've got veteran Marcus Davenport, who's flashed potential but has been hampered by injuries, playing just 6 games over the past 2 seasons. Coming out of OTAs, he's the top candidate to start opposite Hutchinson, but the concern is whether they can rely on him long-term, especially given his injury history. Behind him, the options are a bit thin. Josh Paschal and rookie Ahmed Hassanian are in the mix, but as fans, we know that's not quite enough for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. That's why the idea of a trade for someone like Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals has been gaining traction. Hendrickson, who just had a monster season with 17.5 sacks in 2024, is a proven game-changer. The Bengals have a loaded defensive line, and they might be open to parting with a player of Hendrickson's caliber, especially if they're rebuilding or looking to shake things up. For the Lions, trading for a player like Hendrickson could be a game-changer. They'd get a proven pass rusher, someone who can immediately elevate their defense and take some pressure off Hutchinson. And with over $40 million in cap space, Detroit has the financial flexibility to make this happen, signing Hendrickson long-term and keeping him in the fold for years to come. Of course, acquiring a player like Hendrickson wouldn't be just about talent. It's about fitting into the team's overall scheme and salary structure. The Lions would need to be smart about how they structure the deal so that they can also keep their core players, like Aiden Hutchinson, in the long run. But the potential upside is enormous. Hendrickson's ability to rush the passer, his relentless motor, and his playoff experience make him an ideal target. Plus, he's only 30, meaning he could be a key piece for at least the next 2 seasons, maybe even longer, depending on how well he fits into their system. Now, let's shift gears a little and talk about the offensive line, which has been a bit of a concern after the recent retirement of veteran center Frank Ragnow. Ragnow's abrupt decision to step away from the game was a shock, and it leaves a significant void in the middle of Detroit's line. Fortunately, the Lions had already been thinking ahead, selecting Georgia standout Tate Ratledge in the second round of the 2025 draft. The hope is that Ratledge can step in and fill that void, but as any Lions fan knows, rookies often need time to develop, and the team needs to ensure they have enough depth to weather any setbacks. Adding to that, Detroit still has veteran Graham Glasgow, who can play both guard and center, providing valuable versatility and leadership. The question remains, is that enough? They also lost Kevin Zeitler, who signed with the Titans, so the interior line could still be a weak spot. To address this, rumors have been swirling about the Lions reaching out to the Carolina Panthers to see if they might be interested in trading away interior lineman Cade Mays. Mays, who played well at center for Carolina in 2024, allowing 0 sacks and just 10 pressures on nearly 500 snaps, could be a perfect fit for Detroit's needs. He's versatile enough to play guard if needed, and he's still relatively young, with a lot of room to grow. A trade like that, perhaps involving a third-day pick, could give Detroit a solid backup or even a potential starter for the future. If Mays proves to be a good fit, he could develop into a mainstay on the offensive line, helping protect Jared Goff and opening running lanes for their talented backs. The Lions know how important the offensive line is, especially in the NFC North, where physicality and dominance up front are key to winning games. And speaking of pass rush, there's another intriguing option that's been discussed among fans and analysts alike: Kayvon Thibodeaux from the New York Giants. Thibodeaux has yet to fully realize his potential since being drafted 5th overall in 2022, but he's shown flashes of brilliance. Over 3 seasons, he's recorded 127 tackles, 21 sacks, and 46 quarterback hits. In 2024, he put together an 11.5 sack season, which proves he has the talent to be a difference-maker. What makes Thibodeaux interesting for Detroit is his age, just 24, and his upside. He's still developing, and pairing him with Hutchinson could create a formidable duo that opposing offenses would have to scheme around. The Giants might be open to trading him, especially if they're looking to rebuild or add more draft capital. They could ask for a day 2 pick in return, but the Lions might be willing to give that up, especially considering Thibodeaux's contract, which has manageable cap hits of around $10 million in 2025 and nearly $15 million in 2026. Imagine Thibodeaux lining up on the other side of Hutchinson, creating constant pressure, forcing turnovers, and elevating Detroit's overall pass rush to a new level. It's the kind of move that could transform their defense and make them even more dangerous in the postseason. And it's not just about immediate impact. These young talents can grow together, forming a core that could lead Detroit to multiple deep playoff runs. Of course, all these ideas depend on the Lions' management making smart decisions, balancing cap space, draft assets, and team needs. But the foundation is there. The team is well positioned to make these moves if they choose to go all in. The coaching staff, led by Dan Campbell, has shown they're not afraid to take risks and build through both the draft and strategic trades. They want to keep Detroit at the top of the NFC North, and these moves could be exactly what they need to solidify their position and finally get over the hump in the playoffs. Now, as we look toward training camp in July, all eyes will be on how these pieces come together. Will the Lions pull the trigger on a blockbuster trade for Hendrickson or Thibodeaux? Will they add a veteran interior lineman like Cade Mays, or will they develop their young guys and hope for the best? Whatever happens, one thing is clear: Detroit is not resting on their laurels. They're hungry, they're aggressive, and they're planning to contend for a Super Bowl once again, making sure that their fans have plenty to cheer for in the seasons to come. And now, Detroit Lions fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all these potential moves? Do you think the Lions should go all in for a star pass rusher? Or do you believe they should focus on developing their current roster and building through the draft? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Lions. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Detroit Lions news. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep that Lion's pride alive.